Good day everyone. Today let's go through this Try Hack Me the Docker Rodeo room, learn a wide variety of Docker vulnerabilities in this guided showcase. So let's start the attack box and start the target machine. And in the meantime, let's do some reading. Task 1. Preface setting up Docker for this room, deploy 1. The prerequisites for this room are a bit more complicated than most rooms, however, I'll detail every step of the way, said CMnetic when he created this room 844 days ago. Okay, let's continue. I'll do some of the reading and some of the detailing. Getting set up. I strongly recommend using the TryHack Me tag box for this room for the most reliable experience. Okay, we did it. Deploy the instance attached to this room and wait for the IP address to be displayed. Okay, take note of the IP address for your deployed instance. Okay. Okay, while we are waiting for our attack box to actually come up, let's continue with the reading. Add your instance IP address to etc hosts. Once you have been given your IP address, you'll need to create an entry in your etc host file with both the IP address and Docker Rodeo THM. Sudo nano etc hosts. Add the entry so that it looks like the following. Okay, we have the screenshot explaining visually what we have to do, so it's extremely clear. Then, okay, save and close the file. Tell Docker to trust your instance. You will need to either create or enter the following into etc docker daemon.json file. Okay, we have our attack box up and running, so let's start entering these commands from the beginning. Okay, we have to start from, what was it? Once you have been given your address, create an entry in etc hosts file. Okay, we are already sudo. Then let's go with nano etc hosts. Then okay, add here endpoint. Okay, a new line. Okay, then IPv6 and save and close file. Okay, let's confirm we actually save it. Let's get it out. Okay, it's there. Then you will need to either create or enter the following into this file. Okay, let's try with nano. Oh yeah, this word, of course. Paste. Okay, then let's copy. To actually save it. Great. Then restart Docker. For the changes to apply, you will need to stop, then start, not just restart the Docker service. So systemctl stop Docker, wait, then systemctl start docker. Okay. Commands are short, so I'll manually. Systemctl stop docker. Okay. Then start. Wait a bit. Then run the command. Okay. Let's pray that worked. Okay, introduction to Docker. I won't be reading this task, but answer the question below. The question is, does Docker run on hypervisor? So yeah, I already answered, but if you use this hint, the hint says look back at the diagrams explaining the OS abstraction levels. So does Docker run on hypervisor? Yay or nay? Docker. So we have two diagrams. One is a diagram demonstrating 3 containers on a single computer. So okay, we have containers running on Docker engine, and the second diagram is demonstrating 3 applications running in virtual machines on a single computer. And over here we have virtual machines running on hypervisor. So yeah, the Docker does not run on hypervisor. The answer here is nay. Let's continue. Task 3, vulnerability 1, abusing a Docker registry. Okay, it says this task is just a divider. Please proceed on to the next task. Then task 4, what is a Docker registry? Let's focus just on running the commands. Please do the reading on your own. Most of the reading on your own. Okay, no answers needed here, but it shows here before we begin exploiting a Docker registry, we need to first understand not only how we interact with them, but as to why they are so lucrative to us pen testers. Take, for example, the rustscan Docker Hub registry. The developers have created a tag for every version of rustscan. We here see tags. As this is public, everyone can switch between the version of rustscan that they want to use with ease by downloading the image for the tag they want to use. Okay, let's test if we can Docker pull this. Would simply do the specific Docker pull specific version or the latest. For a Docker repository to do this, the repository must store the data about every tag. This is what we'll be exploiting, since Docker images are essentially just introduction manuals. As we discussed earlier, they can be reversed to understand what commands took place when the image was being built. This information is stored in layers. We will come on to unpacking these layers in task 4. So let's just try to run this command if we to check if we can connect to the Docker Hub registry. Okay, and the latest. Okay, great. Let's proceed. Yeah, we have 14 tasks. So let's Continue to task 5, interacting with the Docker registry. Okay, now it says, as with any system, we are going to be penetration testing. We need to enumerate the services running to understand any potential entry points. In our case, Docker registry runs on port 5000 by default. However, this can be easily changed, so it is worth confirming via an nmap scan like so. Sudo nmap sv and then the target machine address. So let's copy paste it. Copy paste it. Paste it. Please cooperate. Thank you. So while that's running, let's proceed with the reading. But we, judging on the screenshot, we expect to see ports 5000 and 7000 related to Docker registry. But yeah, we'll confirm that later when the scan finishes. Not only is Nmap capable of discovering the Docker registry, but also the API version. This is important to note for how we will interact with it. The Docker registry is a JSON endpoint, so we cannot just simply interact. What? Great. Okay. Nice. So you cannot just simply interact with it like we would with a normal website. We will have to query it. Whilst this can be done via the terminal or browser, dedicated tools such as Postman or Insomnia are much better suited for the job. We'll be using Postman in this room. Okay, we have it here. To understand what routes are available to us, we need to read the Docker registry documentation. Please take the time on your own to read this at your leisure. Okay. Discovering repositories, we need to send a GET request to this address to list all the repositories registered on the registry. Okay, we do that. In this example, we are given a response of 3 repositories. For now, we are only going to focus on Seamnetic My App 1. Okay. Before we can begin analyzing a repository, we need 2 key pieces of information: the repository name and repository tags published. We currently have the repository name Seamnetic My App 1. Now we just need to list all tags that have been published. Repository will have a minimum of 1 tag. This tag is the latest tag, but there can be many tags, all with different code, for example, major software versions, or 2 tags for production and development. Okay, send a GET request to this address. This is the format. Okay, and we will later adjust the address if needed. If not 100% the same, yeah, there should be some maybe small adjustments. But this is the form. To query all published tags for our application, our requests would look like so. Yeah, okay. Okay. And note here we have 3 tags. That not secure tag sure sounds interesting. Now we have both pieces of information to retrieve the manifest files of the image for analysis, then grabbing the data. Okay. Just to see what kind of questions we have later to answer. Okay. Backing up, grabbing the data, with these two important pieces of information about a repository known, we can enumerate that specific repository for a manifest file. This manifest file contains various pieces of information about the application, such as size, layers, and other information. I'm going to grab the manifest file for the not secure tag via the following get request. Okay, this is the form of the request. Note the response, specifically the history key. Let's start the postman in the meantime. Yeah. Okay, history key, albeit slightly hard to read. We have a command that was executed during the image building stage, stored in plain text. Okay, in this image, it's a string insert into root txt on the container, although imagine if this was a password. Okay, we then expect to see something like this. And now it's your turn. Okay, we'll focus on this part. Apply what we have done above. Enumerate the second Docker registry running on the instance. Second. Okay. Find out what repositories are stored within it and ultimately extract some credentials for a database. Okay. So answers what is the port number of the second Docker registry. Okay, so Synaptic here in the instruction showcase the first one with the port available at port 5000 and the second one is 7000. Okay, so that will be the answer here. What is the name of the repository within this registry? Okay, that we'll see later. What is the name of the tag that has been published? What is the username in the database configuration? And what is the password in the database configuration? Okay, so let's continue. Okay, we did this part, started the postman. Okay, postman, hello. Okay, let's close this one and focus on this part. So let's copy paste this command. This looks useful for copy pasta, but just port here to 7000. Okay, word this copy pasting. Yes, that's all right. A second to confirm. Yep. Okay, let's adjust a bit these windows. Okay, let's just type enter here. Okay, now we see here the solution repositories, one repository, secure solutions / web server. Okay, and we had a question. Okay, what is the name of the repository within this registry? And we typed it out as the answer, secure solutions / web server. Okay, what is the name of the tag? Okay, tags, we have yet to run that command. So considering the format, we'll here take this command and adjust my mistake, this command. This is the command, but we have to adjust it with port 7000 and the repository name will be this one, and then we'll get the tags. Yes. Okay, let's do that. but here, okay, 7000, and repository name will be secure solutions web server. Then here, okay, paste, and okay, we see here the tag is production. Great. Okay, and we typed it out here as the name of the tag that has been published. Then what is the username and also password. We expect to see those two in the database configuration. Okay, let's continue here, grabbing the data. So, okay, this is the command. Copy. We'll have to adjust it with here secure solutions. That's server manifests, and the tag we now have here production tag. Okay. Okay, we are hoping to see something like this. So let's see history. Yeah, nice. History. So we are looking for username, something in the looking as the username user. Okay, production. Here we go. Printf username. Yeah, this is the form. Username admin, and password we have production admin. Yeah, database config. Okay. So we typed it out as answers. Okay, and we're finished with task 5, then task 6, vulnerability 2, reverse engineering Docker images. Okay, let's see what we have here. We'll be following on from the previous vulnerability outlined in task 3, abusing a Docker registry. Task 3. Using a Docker registry. As we've discovered, we are able to query the Docker registry and the data contained within without needing to authenticate. Not only we can query Docker registries, but a fundamental feature of Docker is being able to download these repositories for someone to use themselves. This is known as an image tool such as Dive to reverse engineer these images that we download. Without doing it justice, Dive acts as a man in the middle between ourselves and Docker. I also had a good experience with Docker history --no--trunk, I think was the command. Okay, but getting back to this, between ourselves and Docker, when we use it to run a container, Dive monitors and reassembles how each layer is created and the container file system at each stage. We'll start off with an example. Let's download the Docker image from our vulnerable repository and start diving in. No pun intended, of course. Install Dive from their official GitHub. download the Docker image we are going to decompile using this command. Okay, if you received this warning from daemon, you need to revisit step 1 in the first task of this room and then restart your computer. Ensure Docker has properly restarted. Don't fail me here, please. Thanks in advance. Then find the image ID of the repository image that we have downloaded in step 2. Run Docker images and look at the name of the repository we downloaded. The image ID is the value in the third column. Okay. In this case, this was the value. We'll probably have something similar, not the same ID. And then start dive by running dive command and provide the image ID of the image we want to decompile. For example, this command. Then using dive. Dive is a little overwhelming at first, however it quickly makes sense. We have 4 different views. We are only interested in these 3 views. Layers in red, okay, on the screenshot. Layers, then current layer contents in green, okay. And it says layer details, pictured also in red. But okay, we have here showing layers, it says layers, then current layer contents, okay, and here image details, okay. For layers, this window shows the various layers and stages the Docker container has gone through. For layer contents, this window shows you the contents of the container's file system at the selected layer, and the layer details shows miscellaneous information such as the ID of the layer and any command executed in the Docker file for that layer. Oh, layer details, okay, yeah, okay. Then navigate the data within the current window using the up and down arrow. You can swap between windows using the tab key. Okay, disassembling of our first image in dive. Looking at the layers, we can see a total of 7 individual layers. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Note how we can see the commands executed by the container when the image is being built in the layers panel. Okay, for example, take a look at the first layer and then press the tab key to switch windows and scroll down. Use the arrow keys to the home directory, okay, here in the current layer contents, and then press the tab key yet again to switch back to the layers window. At the first layer there is nothing. At the first layer, okay, here at the first layer it says there is nothing located in home. Okay, home. Okay, highlighted in green in the above screenshot on the container. However, if we were to proceed to the second layer, okay, now we are second layer over here, the command make directory home user is executed, and now we can see the directory home user highlighted in red has now been made on the container. Okay, my screen recording unexpectedly ended, so I had to restart the screen recording. Let's continue with the challenge. Pull the challenge image using the Docker pull command and apply what we have done above for the questions below. Remember, you will need to use Docker images to get the image ID for the new image and use that with the dive command. So the questions are: what is the image ID for the challenge? This one, Docker image you just downloaded using Dive. How many layers are there in this image, and what user is successfully added? Okay. Yeah, it's good to check the time available with a tag box, 1 hour. Okay, and with the target machine, okay, also 1 hour 20 minutes. Good on that front. Okay, let's Docker pull this image. Okay. Back to our terminal. Let's clear the screen. Pasta. Come on, pasta. Pasta. Okay. What is the image ID? So for that we have to use Docker images command. Yes, Docker images. Images. And it says, okay, we need this one. Docker Rodeo THM. Docker Rodeo THM. Does this match? Type challenge latest. Okay, and this will be the image ID. Let's double check. D88. Yeah, that's the end of its ID. Using Dive, how many layers are there in the image? Okay, we'll need to download the Dive for this. Dive, download, install Dive. Okay, let's open it in the new tab. And when we install it, okay, Docker pull. Okay, we pulled it successfully. And then we got the image ID, and we then have to run this command. So here, let's use this command. This for a tag box. Yeah, Ubuntu Debian will do. So let's copy pasta. I think we have wget available here. Clear. Let's try. Okay. Okay. Install. Dive. Okay. Let's try it out. Clear. What do we have here in the folder? Let's make it an executable. Copy. 1 plus x and paste. Let's double check. Okay, we are in the green now, so let's try with the we can rename it, but not necessary. Let's try just this. Okay, point slash sorry, 5. Nice, no image argument given, so we need that argument. Okay, this is the argument, image ID. Paste. Nice. Okay, I think we'll have to switch, yeah, to see to view in full screen to be able to see details of these layers, but from this view we already can conclude we are dealing with 7 layers from 0 to 6. Okay. And the question is what user is successfully added. Okay, let's see this in full screen. Okay, tab, tab, tab. Okay, we are now in layers, and let's carefully look at the commands here. Run username would be, okay, here it is, user add, and this is the name. Okay, let's switch back. Yeah, that's the name. What's the hint? What command would you use to output a message on the command prompt? Okay, let's continue. Task 7, vulnerability 3, uploading malicious Docker images. Continuing with exploiting the vulnerable Docker registry from task 3, abusing a Docker registry, we can upload or push our own images to a repository containing malicious code. Okay, give me a second to check. Okay, we don't have to answer any questions here, so let's skim through this. Repositories can have as little or as many tags as the owner wish. Docker pull, Docker run. Okay. The screenshot below is a Docker file that uses the Docker run instruction to execute netcat within the container to connect to our machine. Okay, in Docker file, we have this command mentioning netcat, and netcat this address, this port, and then it's built. We compile this into an image with Docker build. Once compiled and added to the vulnerable registry, we set up a listener on our attacker machine and wait for the new image to be executed by the target. Okay. Note, this will only grant us root access to the container using the image, not the actual host, but it's a connection as root nonetheless. We can start to use these newly gained root privileges to look for configuration files, passwords, or attempt to escape. Additional reading, a malicious Docker Hub image allowed attackers to mine cryptocurrency. Note that there is no practical element to this task by design. Okay. I've learned that we can publish images with malicious code, such as reverse shells, to our vulnerable Docker registry. Okay. Yes, we can confirm that. A task 8, vulnerability 4, RC via exposed Docker daemon. Do we have any questions here? No answers needed. Okay, let's skim through this. So Unix sockets 101. Okay, benchmark test using both types of sockets. Okay, how does this pertain to Docker? Docker pull, Docker run. We see here the user Symnetic is in the Docker group, and then therefore can run commands like Docker images, whereas the user not Symnetic, okay, not Symnetic here, is not in the Docker group and cannot run Docker commands due to the lack of permissions to the Docker socket. Okay, got denied. Okay. practical, enumerate. You'll need to enumerate the host to look for the exposed service. By default, the engine will run on the port 2375. Let's confirm this by performing another nmap scan against your instance. Okay, please note that you may need to upgrade your version of nmap if this port does not appear in your nmap scan. Okay, let's try. We can close this. Control X, Control C. Okay. Clear. So let's try nmap. Detect service version on all ports. Press 1010 202.163. Okay, well, that's running. Confirming vulnerability. So we expect to see this row. Okay. Confirming vulnerability. Great. It looks like it's open. We're going to use the curl command to start interacting with exposed Docker daemon. Confirming that we can access the Docker daemon. We should run this command, curl the version. Okay, and expect to see this as an output, something like this. And note that we receive a response with all sorts of data about the host. Lovely. Okay, execute. Will perform our first Docker command by using the H switch to specify the instance, to list the containers, running this command. Okay. Experiment, of course. Listing the running containers is the least that we can do at this stage. We can start to create our own, extract the file systems and look for data, or execute commands on the host itself. Here are a few Docker commands that I'll leave for you to experiment with, such as network ls, images, exec run. Experiment with some Docker images to enumerate the machine, try to gain a shell onto some of the containers, and take a look at using tools such as root please to use Docker to create a root shell on the device itself. Okay, so we have here nmap is still running. I should have had here dash vv to see the very verbose output. Better luck next time. So task 9, vulnerability 5, escape the exposed Docker daemon. Okay. Escape successful. Let's read through it while this nmap is running in any case. For this task, we are going to assume that we have managed to gain a foothold on the container from something such as a vulnerable website running in a container. Step 1, connecting to the container. Connect to your instance using SSH with the following details. Okay. IPSSH port, username, password. Okay, let's do that in a new tab. Open tab. Sorry, what? Okay, allow. Yeah, we see better what's happening from this window over here, but let's continue with the reading. Okay, then let's do this. SSH with user Danny. at target IP. Sorry, what? Yes. Password would be Danny. Okay. Ten, 63. Okay, okay. Okay, yep, of course. Port. Port is this one, not the default 22. Okay, now we are Danny on that machine and looking for the exposed Docker socket. Oh yeah, how is it? How is our nmap? Same. Okay. Looking for the exposed Docker socket armed with the knowledge we've learned about the Docker socket in the previous task, RCV exposed Docker daemon. We can look for exposure of this file within the container and confirm whether or not the current user has permissions to run Docker commands with groups. Okay, let's just run groups. Okay, Docker is there. Okay, let's run this command from the screenshot. Switch directory. Var run. LA. Where are you now? Thank you. Okay. Our nmap. Oh, still the same. Okay, let's continue. Okay. Mount host volumes. In the instance of this room, I have already downloaded the Alpine image to the container that you're exploiting. In a TreeHackMe room, you will most likely have to upload this image to the container before you can execute it, as instances do not deploy with an internet connection. Now that we've confirmed we can execute Docker commands, let's mount the host directory to a new container and then connect to that to reveal all the data on the host OS. Okay, let's run this command. Copy. Okay. Note if you do not receive any output, you already got one. After 30 seconds, you will need to cancel the command and attempt to run it again. We are essentially mounting the host's directory to the mount directory in a new container, routing, and then connecting via a shell. Verify loot. Success, we have a shell. Okay, let's verify who we are now connected as and enumerate around the file system. So according to the screenshot, let's run id ls slash groups. Okay, id ls slash and groups. Okay, Nice. Escape successful. Okay, let's see host name. Okay. Dash A. Okay. Okay. Next, vulnerability 6, shared namespaces. Do we have to answer something over here? No, but attempt the exploit. You will know you're successful if you can ls home cmnetic. Let's try that. Okay. I won't do all of this reading, but let's focus on the practical part. Okay, so let's okay, this is okay. Getting started. This vulnerability generally relies on having root permissions to the container already, so that the container is exposed to namespaces on the host. Okay, this is the different port, I think. Okay, this so. Okay, let's exit from here and run this command. Okay, our exploit here is simple. Okay, after we log in, we can confirm that the container we are connected to namespaces of the host by using ps-aux. Remember how we were only expecting a couple of entries because we are in a container. Now we can see the whole system process. The exploit here is actually rather trivial, but I'll digress nonetheless. We'll be invoking the nsenter command. To summarize, this command allows you to execute star processes and place them within the same namespace as another process. Okay, use the following exploit. nsenter target1 mount sh, which does the following. Okay, and then you may need to Control C to cancel the exploit once or twice for this vulnerability to work, but as you can see below, we have escaped the Docker container. We have escaped the Docker container and can look around the host OS, showing the change in host name. Okay. I had to restart the screen recording once again. Let's proceed now. So, attempt the exploit. You will know you are successful if you can run ls home cmnetic. But we have to SSH with these parameters. Username should be root. This vulnerability generally relies on having root permissions to the container already, so that the container is exposed to namespaces on the host. Okay, let's exit from the previous instance. And now let's SSH with these parameters here. Root address is the same and port is not. Okay, yes, of course. Password Danny. Right. Okay, and let's run ps-aux. 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 Okay, root. Okay. Use the following exploit. Okay, here is the explanation. Please read it on your own detail. Okay. Copy pasta. Nice. Let's ls. Okay, let's cd home. Okay, ls static hostname cdl. Okay, that's it. No answers needed. But meanwhile, how is our nmap doing? Let's try again to view in full screen. Yeah, same. Okay, task 11. Vulnerability 7 misconfigured privileges deploy to. Okay, understanding capabilities. What does this mean for us? Well, if a container is running with privileged access to the operating system, we can effectively execute commands as root perfect. We can use a system package such as libcap2bin, capsh to list the capabilities our container has, capsh --print. I've highlighted a few interesting privileges that we have been given, but greatly encourage you to research into any more that may be exploited. Privileges like these indicate that our container is running in privileged mode. Okay, such as capnetadmin, capsystime, capsysmodule, capsystruth, capsysadmin. Before we begin to exploit this for ourselves, you will need to deploy a new instance. Okay, instance. New instance using SSH with the following details. New instance. Okay, it's highlighted, so let's better go through the process. Okay, never mind. We can confirm we have this capability by grabbing the output of capsh. So capsh print, then we are looking for this privileged sysadmin. Okay. This capability permits us to do multiple things, such as listed here, but we are going to focus on the ability given to us via sysadmin to be able to mount files from the host OS into the container. The code snippet below is based upon but a modified version of POC created by Trail of Bits, where they detail the inner workings of this exploit. Well, okay, we'll run these commands. Let's briefly summarize what happens when running each of these commands. Logging into the new instance as a root and executing the code snippet, resulting in container escape. Okay. Then running these commands of here from the screenshot, get the flag txt, showing that the command we executed has grabbed the file from the host operating system and answer the questions below, contents of the flag txt from the host operating system. Okay. Let's exit from here. Exit. Okay. So I had to restart my screen sharing because I forgot to stop the old instance. That would be this one. Yeah, I forgot to stop that one and to start this one. I continued working with the old one and nothing wanted to work. So I went through all of this part, ran all of these commands, but finally when I had to get out the flag to see its content, it wouldn't output any characters, like the file is empty. So it took me some time to figure out what is actually happening, but as highlighted here, it's very important to connect to your new instance. So that would be the instance from this task 11. First stop the instance from task 1 and switch to this new target instance from task 11. So I in the meantime restarted the attack box, also went through the process of editing the etc host files and others from the beginning, and okay, now we can continue with task 11. So let's SSH to this instance with this here parameters. Of course, it's case sensitive, so better watch what you're typing, Alexander. Yes. Of course, also sensitive. Then, okay, let's run cap sh print ip to grep sys admin. Okay, and we now see it's listed. Okay, that's great. Conditions are fulfilled. Okay, and then let's now copy paste these commands here. So also let's copy paste it bit by bit from the first row. Let's split it in 3 rows here for just in case. Okay, next. Just clear the screen for visibility. The commands. Okay. Okay, now fingers crossed. So we have to change directory and ls, change directory, slash s, and now let's try the screenshot get flag. Yeah, also in the meantime, when I restarted my attack box and new target machine, you remember that nmap command was running, so I restarted that also, but focused on my host machine, Docker images. So these images here are available on my attack box. Then nmap, yeah, this one that here was command, yeah, with other um, with the target IP address available. Then this is the new target IP address, and here previously was dash p dash to scan all ports, but now, yeah, I focused on only these three mentioned in the instruction. Yeah, we were looking for this one to see if this one will be open, available in the output, and added the very verbose switch. So yeah, it was listed as open. Yeah, mentioned here, state, service reason, and version. Great. And then I ran a couple of commands from the instruction, docker -h, tcp, and then the address of the target to list images. So we are here listing Docker images available on the target. See, there's a lot more container images available on the target. We managed to list them. Okay, we, for example, see here listed privileged container, and then I tried, as mentioned in the instruction, to run some couple of commands on the target, and with that I finished that part. And one more thing, yeah, I mentioned we ran dive, for example, and if you don't need like a specific number of number of layers, but just to see like commands ran, you can run this Docker history, not trunk, image ID, and you'll see such an output. Yeah, and here also that user add command, user name of the user. So yeah, just to show how the output looks. So let's get back to this. Okay, with this we got the answer to the question from the task. Let's continue. Okay, here for example task 12, we don't have to answer any questions. Please go through all this text. I think this one doesn't work anymore. Yeah, okay. But you can Google similar examples. Next, bonus determining if we are in container. So listing running processes. Containers, due to their isolated nature, will often have very little processes running. In comparison to something such as a virtual machine, we can simply use yes, aux to print the running processes. Note in the screenshot below that there are very few processes running. Okay, yeah, we have this similar state over here. The right, a virtual machine has a ton more processes running in comparison. In the case of my virtual machine, there were 312 at the time of listing. Okay, let's see, for example, here. Let's go. Yes, aux. Okay, yeah. Cost on the tag box. Here's the output of the psaux command. Yeah, and this is output when we are in container. Also looking for Docker env. Containers allow environment variables to be provided from the host operating system by the use of a Docker env file. This file is located in the / directory and would exist on a container even if no environment variables were provided. So let's check out when we see that file in our case on the right, and okay, we have it available. And those pesky C groups. Note how we utilize C groups in task 10. C groups, task 10. Task 10, okay. The theory one. Sure. C groups are used by containerization software such as LXC or Docker. Let's look for them by navigating to proc1 and then getting the cgroups file. It is worth mentioning that the cgroups file contains paths including the word Docker. So let's confirm suspicions. No answer needed. cd into. Okay, let's clear the screen and switch to proc1 and okay, let's see what we have here and get cgroup That's that. We confirmed our suspicions. Yeah, and additional material is listed here. Conclusion: there are a few other exploits that I was not able to cover, such as the dirty cow kernel exploitation. I implore you to get familiar with Docker, create your own instances, and play around. You may also find variants of the capabilities exploit, such as run C, interesting. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Don't be afraid to stick around in the room and experiment. Yeah, for example, Websploit Lab has a Docker network, which would be a good continuation to exercise. Also, this Hactrix has Docker breakout privilege escalation guidelines, so take a look at it also. And with that, we finish this room, and if you follow through, you will also be rewarded with this Docker badge, breaking out of a Docker container in 7 different ways. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough. Until next one.